Hello everyone, I pray you're all well. You're welcome to our first participatory approaches in agriculture extension lecture. My name is Mary Nanyazi and I'll be your lecturer for this course unit. So let's start with a brief introduction. We see that participatory approaches in agriculture extension always focus on the expressed needs of the farmers, which needs might be probably pest and disease infestation, poor soil fertility, or post-harvest handling technologies, and the goal mainly is for increased production and improved livelihoods of the rural people. So it is a process in which all major social interest groups participate in identifying their problems and developing action plans aimed at achieving sustainable development. So all the relevant stakeholders have to be part of the identification stage so that they identify the problem together and discuss the required solutions. And the success is mainly measured by the number of farmers or stakeholders who are actively participating, plus the sustainability of the local extension organizations. So when we are talking about the introduction to participatory approaches, it is very realistic and very context specific. So we need to set very clear objectives and very achievable objectives for increased participation of a particular group. So let's now look at what participatory approaches involve. One, they involve sharing of knowledge and experience, recognizing and encompassing different perspectives, working in teams on practical tasks, using of visualization, analytical tools, and drama, an open-ended creative learning process, the development of shared understanding and jointly owned plans or other products, and finally, the capacity of reflection and self-assessment. So all these are a constituent of participatory approaches. Let's now look at the history of participatory approaches. How did they come up? Why were they started? Okay, so we see that over the last decade, there has been a growing awareness of the inadequacies in the conventional approaches of agriculture extension. So when people realized these inadequacies, they came up with participatory extension strategies. All these participatory extension methods we are going to look at and tools came up as a way of trying to solve the inadequacies that people identified in the conventional approaches of agriculture extension. So participatory approaches are a product of a long-lasting interaction between different stakeholders, including researchers, development workers, government agencies, and local populations. So we see that the history of participatory methods began in the late 1970s with the introduction of the rapid rural appraisal. So the rapid rural appraisal was designed to collect first-hand information from the local people about their perspectives and their perceptions on the local environment and living conditions. So it was just a tool used to collect data from the farmers or the local people. So rapid rural appraisals were usually conducted during a workshop setting in a number of days, like 1 to 3 days. And this was with the local people in the field. It was mainly facilitated by small teams of rapid rural appraisal specialists or researchers. Then we see that during the 1980s, NGOs operating at the grassroots used these appraisals to come up with a further fine-tuned approach, which is called a participatory rural appraisal. So as they were implementing the rapid rural appraisals, they identified areas that needed improvement, so that's why they came up with a new approach of the participatory rural appraisals. So the participatory rural appraisals are very similar to the earlier method, but the underlying philosophy and purpose changed. Okay, so while the rapid rural appraisals aimed at extracting information from the local people or the farmers or the interest groups in a single event, the participatory appraisals, on the other hand, were designed to follow more about the people's concerns and interests. Okay, so it's not just a matter of researchers going to the community, picking the information they want and moving away. The participatory appraisals rather went deeper to understand the concerns and the interests of the people. So the participatory appraisal workshops were usually facilitated by teams of trained persons, and they could take several days, 3 to 6 days, because they needed to more information on the concerns and the interests of the local people. We see that the most important principle was sharing of results of analysis, decisions, and planning efforts among the community members by an open and public presentation during the meetings. Okay, so after that information was taken and the analysis was done, the researchers would come back and give results to the community, and then decisions would be made by the entire community. So participatory appraisals strongly support and facilitate the introduction of more demand-responsive ways of managing developmental interactions. And they see that rural people's development capacities for analyzing their circumstances of living, their potentials and their problems in order to decide on changes to be made was improved. We see that as time went on, participatory appraisal facilitators accepted more the role of learners, and that is why in the 1990s a new approach came up, and this is the participatory learning and action. Okay, so since the beginning of the 1990s there was extension of concepts of participatory processes, and interactions have since then been developed and summarized as participatory and integrated development. The PID, or the participatory and integrated development, seeks to include workshops and their results in a broader long-term frame of institutionalized activities. So we see that PID offers facilitation support to the locals on a demand responsive basis. So the support is demand driven, and then it also assists the local people or the farmers or whichever interest group that is being helped in getting their interests represented. So the PID has resulted into more sustainable and better coordinated ways of development, and that's why we see that there are more collaborations with different agencies and sector organizations and different groups of stakeholders. So in the end, we realize that with these participatory methods, there is much more sustainability of support efforts that are given to community members. Thank you so much for listening, and in case you have any questions, kindly forward them so that we discuss them in our next virtual consultation session. May God bless you.